Hello, folks. Hey, Dory.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Bad echo.
Uh-oh.
Well, I'll just be quiet, but I'm happy to turn this PetExec room over to Paul and Dory.
Dory, please start. Okay. All right. I'll send you an email shortly. Thank you. Bye-bye. Come back to me.
Dory, you're muted.
Oh, thank you. I guess you can't read lip sweat that well, huh? Welcome, everyone. I wanted to take a minute and I can kind of show you 3 of the reports that you can use in PetExec to gather some of that data that we were talking about in the other presentation. So I'm just here in our little demo system where we can kind of pull and share some data. So I'm going to start in the menu here and I'm going to go into reports. And there's really 3 reports that I think are a good place to start. The statistics report, the stats report by service type, and the billing report. So if I look at them here, if I look at the statistics report, you can run this report for a date range, and it's going to show you your total dollars collected here by payment type. So in terms of gathering those revenue numbers for the spreadsheets and the formulas, I think you can use these numbers here to sort of gather those revenue numbers. If we scroll down a little bit here in the statistic report, you can see that these numbers are broken down by service type. So where Susan was talking about being able to determine your numbers by services, this would be a good place to see that revenue by services. You can see the quantities here, and you can kind of use those quantities to get to that number of pets serviced as well. So this one is the statistic report. I've got the stats report by service type, which just summarizes those numbers a little bit more. So if you come in here, again, you can see those totals, and it's just going to lump them all together. So I could see my boarding totals, the total quantity, the total number. I could see my daycare and daycare packages. And so this one will just sort of summarize by service type. Okay. And then the billing report is a great report if you like to see all of the data or a lot of the data all in one place. So if we run the billing report in PetExec, we can run it here. And you can see the data here just within the PetExec system. But the other option I really like, it would be to download it into a spreadsheet. And so I've got it downloaded here into Excel. If you are a data person and you love to look at data and analyze data, then the billing report downloaded to Excel, you will probably like very much. In this one, it's going to show you kind of all of the data around your orders for that time frame that you run. And when you do download this to Excel, there are 2 worksheets. So we have the billing report here, and you can see all of the orders in your system. You'll have 1 line item per order. In this case, you could use this charge column to determine these are going to be all of the services that were on all of your orders at this time. And then we've got an order details page as well. This is going to break down by service type and service specifically for all of those orders. So again, if you want to come in here and really kind of crunch those numbers and analyze how that data is coming out of your system, this is a great tool in order to be able to do that. I know Paula wanted to share some other information. I think that she is having some technical difficulties. I don't know if there's any questions, if a lot of you guys use PetExec currently, if you have questions, if you're utilizing these reports currently. And I don't know,
I have a question.
Sure.
I noticed that on the statistics report, it gives me one set of units for the number of dogs that maybe checked out in that month. But when I look at the occupancy report, which I look at daily as far as units goes, that report includes dogs that maybe had already checked out that day, but it'll still count them. And I just wondered if that's a discrepancy that you guys are working on, or if it's something that you want that way. Because I'm just, when I'm doing my KPIs at the end of the month, using the Dog Guru's kind of system, we look at, kind of daily occupancy. And so those numbers don't ever match. And I just wondered if there's something to help me understand.
I'd have to know a little bit more about the occupancy report that you're using. The report here, the statistics report, is really going to be based off of order data. So anything on this report is going to be after you've checked a pet out and those services on the orders. And in many cases, the services are just going to reflect the number of services on an order and not necessarily the number of pets. Whereas occupancy in PetExec is specifically counting the number of pets. And you may see occupancy counts in different occupancy summaries. If pets aren't checked out yet, then they're not going to be in the different accounting reports that I'm talking to here.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps.
Yeah.
For example, I think this executive suite 2-dog quantity is a good example. So in this one, these would be 23 executive suite 2-guest product and services that were on orders. So we would count that as 2 pets, but those services are being counted individually. And typically when we see that kind of executive suite 1 guest, 2 guest, there is that multiple pet discount kind of built in there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Are there any other questions?
So what you're saying is that the way this is set up, if you have an executive suite 2 guests, then that 23 is how many lodging nights there were, but you would have to multiply that by 2 to get 46 pet nights.
Yes, you'd have to kind of dig into those numbers to get to that number of pet services performed. And so here within this report, I can click on this 989 total, and I could open that up in order to see what were the total services on that order. And so here I can see there were 2 pets included in this boarding stay. They had a quantity of 23. They stayed 23 nights.
I think that's what Courtney was saying, is that really what we want to be able to get to, and I apologize, I don't use PetExec. I use Ginger. I'm actually considering PetExec. So we have the same challenge on Ginger, and that is that our occupancy report tells us if a pet was checked in that day, but so if a pet stays for 2 nights, or I'm sorry, if a pet stays for 1 night but 2 days, then that reservation type, that's the way they phrase it in Ginger, but that reservation type is showing me that that pet was there basically 2 days, when in reality it was only 1 lodging night. So I think that's, Courtney, am I wrong? I think that's what you're kind of saying with PetExec's occupancy report, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly right. But I think the thing that you and I, where our businesses are different, is that a lot of people charge by the day. And so PetExec and Ginger, they have to make accommodations for both kinds of businesses. So that would be my guess.
Right. So, and that's, I guess that's where I struggle is, and maybe where Courtney is struggling too, is to try to understand exactly how many pet nights there were versus pet, when it's day camp or something, that's pet days. So, so that's where that's where this report kind of gives you, once they've checked out, it's how many pet nights they've paid for.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So
Yeah, and we don't have anything that's like 2 dogs in one. Like, we do have dogs that stay together, but we list them separately, and so we don't have to do any of this multiplication.
but this
a lot of
report
this
actually would give you what you need then, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
A lot of this data too will be dependent on your setup and how you have your products and services set up in the system. If you did price without that pet discount, then you could lose these executive 2-suite, 3-suite services. And then this would be more of a true count because you would have one service per pet or per guest. And that would be a more accurate count. So you would have to dig into the data a little bit and understand how to get to those numbers if you wanted to pop them into some of those spreadsheets on the Dog Guru side. What other questions?
I have a question about the statistics by service type report.
Mm-hmm.
If you go there and if you look at daycare and you click on, let's see, where are you at? Yep. And you look at daycare, and if you click on that, the view details, if they're on a package or we do memberships, then it's very hard to get our daily, if I'm looking at my labor statistics for the week, being able to get what that actually is. Because if I have 50 different dogs in there and they're all on memberships, then it all shows as zeros. And I don't actually have any pricing there per day per dog. Is there any way to do that?
In PetExec, when you use a daycare package, it does zero out the cost of the daycare and it deducts a use from the package. So that pet will appear here under that service type of daycare. And you're right, the cost would be $0. So that would just be an indication that a package was used. So you could count that pet as a pet service. I think you just have to figure out how to, I am not an accountant. I do not have an accounting background. So in terms of balancing those numbers, I think you'd have to figure out, okay, if they're using if I'm offering a discount through my packages, that's dropping that daily rate of my daycare service. So all of those $0 daycares that you would see reflected here are really being charged at that lower discounted rate. So then maybe you can use those $0 daycares, pop in that lower discounted rate to kind of come up with what's my average rate. If most of my dogs are daycare dogs, then you are really dropping that average rate of those daycares. I liked what what Susan said about the daycare packages and offering those discounts through the packages, and how much sense does it make to discount those packages. And if you're doing that, to be sure to have an expiration date on that. So it's not just this open-ended kind of giveaway.
Right. And that's what I'm doing now is I download that to Excel and I have to go in like for the week and hand key all those. I was wondering if there was another way in there that that the system can automatically say, okay, this is a package for, $500 for 10 days. And that's going to equal $50 per day and automatically populate that for us. Would help a lot of us, I think, do some of our labor statistics better.
Yeah, that's an interesting suggestion, and maybe it's something that we could look into in terms of sort of doing some of those calculations in the background. And see, I can't promise anything, but I think it's a great suggestion.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you, Paula.
Okay, I am so sorry, you guys. We just started using Zoom. I use it all the time. I have no idea why I'm having so many troubles, and I apologize, but I had a presentation all set and ready to go. So if I could, but I'm just really struggling you can't even imagine what I've gone through. I've got a camera pointed to me. It's just not connecting. I just don't know what else to do. I think it might be looking at my other, but what I'd like to do, unless you're wanting to ask more questions of Dory, I wouldn't mind kind of sharing some things that I've observed, and also some mirroring some of the things that Susan was saying, that we're both very much on the same page. And I agree, the more data, the better. And as we progress with PetExec, we're of course including much more data as time goes on, but you can always have more data. In fact, Dory, did you already show them some of the reports? I kept going in and out, and I apologize to Dory. I was supposed to do the presentation and she was just supposed to pop in.
I did talk through the 3 reports and some of that detail there.
Okay.
So
Well,
I don't know if you want to cover a couple of your talking points as well.
I wouldn't mind doing that. I'm just afraid, but can I just try to share my screen and see how that goes?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see how that goes.
I'm
You
going to
cannot
pause.
share
a
while the
moment.
other participant is sharing. Okay. I think you have to, I think
Pause
part of
mine,
it.
so I think you can share.
Okay, let's try it. No, not quite, not yet.
Just making sure.
I've been doing presentations every day for 15 years, guys. This is the most uncomfortable, I think,
here.
comfortable I've been in my life. Okay, so I am actually going to share this, and I'm going to,
There we go. Now I got it.
window. Okay, I want to get Keynote and I want to play. Can you see the entire screen?
Yep.
Where it says simplify pricing and all that?
Yep.
I cannot see that, by the way, so I have no idea what you're seeing. Okay, so what I wanted to talk to you today is people have a tendency to fight me a lot on these same things. I've talked to Susan at length, and although I'm not an accountant, and I do love my data, and I do want to kind of address some of the concerns that I have in this industry, is that we have this guilt of thinking that just because the guy down the street is inclined to share or, you know, give away the farm, we really found this to be impactful with 2020. And this is exactly what happened. Of course, everybody's panicking and wanting to know what they can do. So are you guys still being able to see my screen? Because it says sharing is paused.
I can see it.
Okay, good. Okay, so what happened was a lot of the companies that were strictly boarding or not strong in the other areas, like what Susan was saying, they were failing. But then the people that were strong were snapping up all these other businesses that were failing for pennies on the dollar. So my contention is the same as Susan's, and that is when you're looking at these different service types, one of the things to make as an important part of your category is the price per service. Like for instance, in boarding, I had a Facebook Live with one of our PetExec pack mates. He's been with us for probably 13 years. And based on boarding numbers and the same boarding room, he was able to make $1 million just on his board and train. So if you haven't seen that one little video, and it did keep freezing, I mean, the best laid plans always happen this way. So, oh dear God. Okay. And so what I was going to say, and this just kind of goes in tandem with what Susan said, if you lead with the quality of your products and services, you don't have to offer all these crazy discounts. We have so many people and they fight me on this. I do presentations every day of my life and they go, well, the guy down the street, you know, it's cheaper for the second dog and the third dog. And if they stay for this number of nights, can you add another 20%? And they want us to add it to our software and all this. And I go, you know, when you're doing these kinds of things, if you look at a matrix and they have, and I took a screenshot of it, it was so brilliant. If you look at it in a different way, if you look at it in the what you're giving away, I promise you, if they're a good quality client, they're going to still come to your business. Like Courtney at Dog Boys. Nice to see you. Do you think you're going to lose a client because you don't do a second dog discount? No way. They're coming for the quality of your products and services. There's just no way. So I feel like people are selling themselves short. That's why some of the best business advice I got when I was first going into business, this is like over 20 years ago, they said, don't be afraid to ask for the money. Don't be afraid. People say, well, our customers are going to get mad at us. And I go, What if they don't? What if they don't? What if they appreciate you for the quality of services you have, including like restaurants now are raising their prices because of the whole COVID. It didn't make me stop going. I'm supporting them. Okay. The other thing is exactly what she said, simplify pricing. I like what Susan's idea is with the packages. In fact, the only time I think you should ever, ever, ever give a discount is possibly when you give a package. Don't give a discount on a regularly priced service, because at least with packages, you're getting your money up front. And like what Susan said, don't leave it so open-ended. If they're going to get a 10 pack, they should be able to use that within 90 days. Okay. You can always extend it in PetExec. And then she already went through much more detailed. A lot of these things, total revenue, you know, how you find your total revenue, and it's basically you subtract your expenses and you'll get your profit. These are very, very easy calculations. But one of the ones that I like to do, and I even built a little thing on Excel last night just to kind of do this, is if you get your profit and you divide it by your revenue and you multiply it times 100, that gives you your profit margin. And there's a report in PetExec that I love, the statistics report that Dory probably showed you. So you can see little things like your pet boarding, and if you have one pet in versus your cost having 2 pets in one room, it's the same amount of work. So you should be charging each of those clients at least a fair amount if you're giving a discount, because your profit margins should never, your profit margin percentage, I should say, should never, ever, ever be under 20%. You're more valuable than that. So I was looking at when people have these multiple discounts and they keep on offering after 7 days, they get this. And I said to one person, I ask this question all the time. I always say, why? Why are you offering these discounts? And I almost never get a mathematical answer. So they will say something like, because they've seen it before, or because the place they worked at before, or the place down the street does this. You're not going into business to be just like the person down the street. The people that are the most successful, and we have a bird's eye view of all these very, very successful people, including Courtney. And I can't even see who these other people, their little heads are like behind things, is that they don't offer multiple discounts because they are getting so many people. And then the other thing that I wanted to say just real quick is sometimes we need to flex and adjust with the times. Boarding was going to be down in COVID because we just kind of expected people can't travel. So boarding went out. What do? Cry? Well, yes, you cry and then you figure out a different thing to do. And we found that the people who did the best increased their grooming. Like when Susan was talking about, she's looking at the percentage of the area, the space that she's dedicating to these different areas. So maybe if the grooming is more profitable, you need to increase in that area. Boarding, you don't have to change anything. Board and train, much more profitable per space. You've got to change with the market. So those are kind of the points that I wanted to make. And I have to apologize, not just to you guys, but apologize to Dory. I had no idea I was going to have these terrible difficulties, but I, did want to have this as an open forum for you guys to ask questions. And, if you have any questions about the software, I am not an accountant, but what I do like to do is I like to observe business practices and profitability. I can create a profitability model that will work absolutely every time. I've seen it happen over and over and over again. So that's really, I think, what I bring to the table. So do you guys have any questions on profitability, pricing, anything like that, reports?
I do have a question for you, Paula.
Sure.
It's Antoinette. Were you
Hey, Antoinette.
were you clicking through your presentation during that? Because we have all only seen your front page.
Yes, I am clicking through.
Okay, we're still on the profitable pricing breakout session.
I don't know what is going on, you guys.
No.
I am just crazy. It's saying your screen sharing is paused. And
Can
I'm
you
afraid it
unpause
says
it?
Zoom share, but I swear I do this for a living. I don't know why.
Now it's going through.
Now it's-
Now I
okay.
see, please contact me.
Now it's gone. This is my worst nightmare, you guys. I just don't even know what to say. The camera's pointed at me. I'm trying my best and it's just not happening. I can try again, but I'm just afraid. Let's see.
Dory did a great job before you.
Dory is amazing.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, so I'm gonna just play slideshow in window, just so you can see what you've been missing. And the dog gurus will probably never speak to me again. So here's the first one, and the lead with the quality of your products and services. One of the things that I think is really important, because people just sell themselves short in this business. I don't know why, when you're going to a doctor, I never would ask a doctor, oh, can I get a discount? Because, you know, I'm having, I don't know, I'm having an issue with something. I just don't do that, because if I'm going to get good quality care with a good doctor, or if I want my child to go to a good place, I'm not looking for the cheapest place in town. So that's why I tell people, be like them. Always lead with the quality of your products and services. Nobody cares about your fancy pricing structure. After 7 days doing this and all of that, nobody really cares about it. They'll take it, but they don't care about it. And I'm a real big fan of simplifying. And like with packages, for instance, a lot of the competitive products use these, they're kind of like credits. The reports never line up. So if they've got credits for this and credits for that, you will never be able to get good data from that. So always, oh, it says sharing is paused.
We can see your presentation in
Which-
like in the software in the thing. That's okay.
I'm trying, guys. I'm so sorry. So can you see where it says simplify pricing? Probably not.
We can see each one of the different slides on the left, and then the please contact me if you have questions slide is shown on the biggest screen.
Okay, well, that's not what you should be seeing. I don't know what else to say. I'm going to stop sharing while I'm ahead, and I'll just show Dory's beautiful face.
I don't know if anybody has any other questions though about you know, getting to the data in PetExec, using PetExec, determining those numbers.
I have a question that does relate to profitability, but not so much units. I mean, we've used the statistics reports to get our units and have been very successful with that. And so that's my favorite report to use. But we were talking today just about profits in general. And I know that we have our credit cards system set up with your guy. I think his name is Josh.
Mm-hmm. Josh Clover.
Yeah, I need to get his contact information if you can put it in the chat. But
Sure.
I realized that it's really convenient for our clients to not have to get their credit cards out and just, you know, put it on my card and, you know, card on file. Like customers love that.
Yes, absolutely.
But I also noticed that you do, that Clover is one of the options.
Yes.
And I think because customers can just charge the card on file, we might be getting charged from the credit card company for the card not being present, and
Yes.
we're robbing the opportunity for the customer to tip, where they would be able to tip if they were using like a Clover terminal, for instance.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Courtney, because what happens is, and we all do it, every charge I have with PetExec, because we charge monthly, is a card not present rate. There's not really a way to get around that, but you're correct. Particularly like in services where there's a lot of tipping, like grooming, you might want to look at the Clover. I'm finding his name right now.
Okay.
And before I probably get kicked off for something.
I can find it and pop it in the chat too.
I'll find it.
Got
I
it.
feel like I've put you through enough. Please don't quit.
I do think though, Courtney, on that Clover question, we have found, I know we've seen a lot of comments in the Facebook page, that it does increase tipping quite a bit. And so especially with COVID, I think that employers have found that's a great tool to get their employees a little additional revenue and income as well, because it really has increased those tips. And the customers are able to see that customer facing portal with the Clover Mini. And then it may affect that card present, card not present transaction costs associated with those transactions. So those would be good questions for Josh, and he could address that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mhm.
And I'm going to put that link in here. I'm just going to go to the PetExec site and I'm going to give you the link for all of our vendors and partners. Okay, and I want to do it to everyone. Okay, did everybody see that?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Swear to God, you guys, there's a demon. There's
You
a
just
demon.
gotten up on the wrong side of the bed today.
I know.
No, I've had such a good day until now. I think what happened, I think there were multiple rooms opened. Okay, chat, and this is going to everyone, and it's not letting me go to everyone.
I see a phone number. Oh, that's,
From the internet.
yeah.
There you
thank
go.
I just added Josh's phone number for you.
Thank you.
I do have a question on the tipping if you do go with Clover, because I know people tip a lot on the boarding. So my thought process and wondering was, we pay our groomer based on all her grooms. If somebody is boarding and a grooming is attached to that, then I'm assuming with that Clover, when it turns around and they tip, that all of that tip money is going to be assigned to that one groom with that boarding. Would that be correct?
Yes, I'd have to confirm, but I do think it'll do that. When they tip on the Clover, it takes that tip amount and it pops it back into that tip line item on that order. And so that tip line item would show like in the grooming report where the tips show for that groomer. So if you wanted to separate that out, there might be an extra step to add like you could create a product and service like boarding tip, and you would go in, add that to the order. And then let's say that total tip was $50, but they wanted 10 to go to the groomer and 40 to go to the boarding tip. You could then change those product and service prices in that order and kind of manually
Okay.
allocate that money.
So the staff, so you're saying the Clover, since I don't have this product, it would input it all into one line, and then I would have to split it out before I hit run.
I believe off the top of my head, yes. And I could play with that a little bit and follow up with you and let you know.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anyone else have anything? I don't think so. Dory?
Okay. I don't have anything else if there's no more questions.
Okay, well, if any of you need to contact us with any kinds of questions, you can always go to petexec.net and just, contact us, and then, we'll be able to answer your questions. And I just want to give a big thank you to Dory and all of you guys, and a big apology for not having these technical difficulties. I really apologize. I feel terrible, but no, I'm not.
Oh,
Anyways, thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate it.
yeah.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Okay, be safe. Thank you so much. Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye now.